Do you ever feel like you are chasing happiness? Like you're constantly trying to accomplish something in order to prove that you're worthy, that you deserve happiness, and to get that little bit of happiness that you get when you reach a goal. Only you kind of are finding yourself feeling stressed out, overwhelmed, feeling like you just have too much to do and you're not feeling that happiness that you're looking for. Even when you accomplish the goal, you feel that moment of happiness and then it just sort of fades away really quickly. So you feel like you have to move on to the next thing and you start feeling like you're on a hamster wheel, just chasing happiness, chasing accomplishments, not really ever getting anywhere. Or maybe you feel empty, lonely, not really sure what you want for your life. You kind of feel unmotivated and you feel like you just have no passion for anything. You don't really know what direction you want your life to go in, and you kind of end up just going through the motions, sitting on the couch, binging on TV shows, and not really going anywhere. Don't worry. I have great news for you. I have a super valuable and super simple tool that you can use to solve either one of those. Whether you're constantly chasing happiness and accomplishments on that rat wheel, or if you're kind of stuck in indecision or apathy because you don't really feel passionate about anything in life, I have something that's going to help you. And I know that might sound pretty pie in the sky because that's a lot that I just laid on you. Or if you're feeling it, you know that's a lot. But stay with me. I've used this, other people have used it, and you can use it too. This simple tool is legit.
Welcome to the Women Rockin' Midlife Podcast, soulful wellness to elevate your second act. You deserve to deeply love every moment of your life, living your best life with pure joy, optimal health and abundance, with the energy, time, and inner peace to savor experiences with your loved ones and with yourself. Hi, I'm Jen Kunkel. Join me on this soulful journey to complete wellness in midlife and beyond.
Back to this super valuable, super simple tool that I promised you that's going to get you off that rat wheel, that hamster wheel of chasing happiness, that's going to pull you out of that pit of feeling like your life is meaningless and purposeless. True happiness, that deep happiness that actually lasts beyond reaching a goal, that deep sense of inner peace and success in any area that you want in your life, can that actually be as simple as incorporating into your day a ritual, a daily ritual where you cultivate and nurture your self-worth? That's the simple tool, and I'm going to talk to you more about exactly how to do that. And yes, it is that simple. The key is consistency. When you do something, you make even the tiniest little tweak to your day that is strategic and intentional for a certain purpose, you will notice changes before you know it. Incorporate this just for a few minutes every day to cultivate your self-worth, to just take a few minutes for you. And this strategic, it's very intentional, and there are specific exercises that you can use that work the best. Maybe you're thinking, Jen, self-worth and self-love and self-acceptance and things like that, that's just woo-woo, feel-good stuff. That's not what really matters. That's not what really brings happiness and accomplishes goals. What I really need is the nuts and bolts, the how-to. I need to know how to reach the certain goals that I want to reach, and then I'll be happy, and then I'll feel inner peace. Hold on. Let's bring that to a screeching halt. Here's the deal. In this information age, the nuts and bolts how-to do just about anything is available to all of us. So, if all you really need are the nuts and bolts, wouldn't everyone have everything that they want and desire? It's not that simple as having the nuts and bolts. Sure, knowing what to do is certainly helpful, but you can find that pretty much anywhere. Self-worth, that's what really limits you. That's what stops you from going to find out what the nuts and bolts are in the first place. I mean, some people just will have a glean of an idea and think, ooh, that sounds cool. But in the back of their mind, they've got that self-talk chatter saying, who do you think you are? You can't do that. That's for somebody else. And they don't even go after and look for the nuts and bolts, how to. They don't even take that step. Or if you do, maybe you get scared and it stops you. Well, that's normal. It happens to all of us. But people who have a deeper sense of self-worth are going to get past that fear. And they're going to say, hey, little voices in the back of my head, I don't think so. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this even though it's scary. Self-worth and self-love and self-acceptance is all a part of that. It gives you that courage to do things that you haven't done before, to do the hard things, to take risks that maybe seem crazy to you right now. I know, I've been there. I took crazy risks, and I was definitely not a risk taker. But that all happened after I cultivated and nurtured my self-worth, and I felt worthy. And maybe I didn't feel completely worthy yet. I felt a little bit more worthy than I used to. And that put me over the edge to take that next step. And it keeps growing and building. You cultivate every single day. You cultivate your self-worth, and you do things to stretch your comfort zone. And the more you do it, the easier it gets, and then you could stretch yourself even further. Maybe that's hard again, and then it's like a muscle that you build up. So you do it every single day. It's like you don't go to the gym and work out just like 1 or 2 times or sporadically and expect to see changes in your body. It's the same thing for self-worth. That fear that you feel is an indication of a sense of low self-worth. Now that doesn't mean that you're in a deep pit. Maybe you are. Maybe you really feel unworthy and undeserving. I know that's where I was when I was younger. I didn't even think about it in those terms, so maybe you don't either. So how do you know if you have low self-worth? So if you're new to this, you're probably not thinking about it in those terms. Like I said, I did it. So let me share with you some indicators that you actually might be experiencing low self-worth and that's what's getting in your way. One indicator of low self-worth that is really common and kind of hidden is if you're a big people pleaser. You have trouble saying no. Now this isn't about just I want to be helpful and I like to help people. And that's where I think some people can kind of hide behind, no, I just really want to help. When it's really coming from, that's where you get your sense of self-worth, is by helping other people. Now if you really want to help people because you're being generous or kind, that's different. Sometimes that's where I say that this can be something that you could end up hiding behind and saying, oh no, it doesn't have anything to do with my self-worth. I feel completely worthy and I take care of myself, but you really don't, then that's where you have to look out. So if you have trouble saying no when maybe you're overextended or it's something that you just really, really don't want to do, but you don't say no because if you did, you would feel so guilty it would eat you up. That's an indicator of low self-worth, and it's not a healthy way to help people. You may struggle with setting boundaries. You kind of let people take advantage of you, or you feel like people take advantage of you. If you've done a little bit of work, you realize that you're allowing the people to take advantage of you. If this is all kind of new to you, it's a little bit of a slight difference where you feel like these people take advantage of you and you kind of come at it from more of like it's their fault mentality, and it's not really about anybody's fault. It's just about the energy that you have. It's really subtle. When I got my self-worth higher, I was able to set boundaries and enforce them without enforcing them. That people could feel that energy of, yeah, that's not going to happen here. And they didn't really push it most of the time. But if you have that weakness of giving in, it's almost like people can subconsciously sense that, and they know that if they keep pushing and keep being persistent, that eventually you're going to cave in. But when you have that stronger sense of self-worth, they can sense that you're not going to. If you have difficulty setting healthy boundaries, saying no to people, if you're constantly saying yes to things that you don't really want to say yes to, then just, be gentle with yourself. Don't beat yourself up for having low self-worth. That's just going to make it worse. But just be aware and say, oh, maybe this is something that I could work on. And the great news is it's not that difficult, even though it seems like it is right now. You just have to take small steps consistently on a day-to-day basis. And you can do this. I know, because I did it, and I never would have imagined. Another indicator that you might have low self-worth or you need to work on improving it is if you let people treat you badly, disrespect you. You might even find yourself apologizing when it would actually be more appropriate for the other person to apologize. Like someone bumps into you and you say you're sorry. You say, oh, I'm sorry, when they are the one that bumped into you. And again, don't beat yourself up for that. Don't feel sorry that you have low self-worth and apologize for it. Just be gentle with yourself, be patient with yourself, and when you start to recognize some of these patterns, take the steps to cultivate and nurture that self-worth muscle. Start working that out. And I'm going to give you a tool that's going to help you with that. The link will be in the description. It's Self-Love Secrets, 5 Essential Morning Rituals. It's totally free for you. You can grab that. It is at wildsavvy.com/happy tools. And again, I'll have the link down in the description. Even if you've already had healthy self-esteem, you feel worthy, you're pretty deserving, you've had that pretty much together in the past, but something happened. Maybe something big happened in your life and it sort of pulled the rug out from under you. You can have peaks and valleys, ups and downs with your self-worth and your self-esteem, even in different areas of your life. Maybe you had a big breakup and you're feeling a sense of low self-worth in that area because of that, or maybe it's bleeding into other areas of your life. You definitely want to get that in check as soon as possible and start cultivating your self-worth again. Build that back up. Once you've already had that self-worth, even if something comes and pulls the rug out from under you, it's easier to get that back. And maybe you lost a job, a relationship, and maybe you had something physical happen, whether it was a health issue or an accident. That can really weigh on our self-worth as well. Another indicator that you might be experiencing low self-worth, whether it's just something you've always experienced or it's based on something that happened recently, is you might not be taking care of yourself, like kind of being lethargic or starting to engage in more unhealthy or even destructive behaviors. That can be an indicator that you are experiencing low self-worth. Depending on how bad it is, you might not be open to this, but if you're here and that's how you're feeling, try these tools. Try just taking a few minutes every day to cultivate and nurture your self-worth so that you can pull yourself back out of that pit, and start engaging in healthier behaviors, and you'll feel better. You might be wondering, does self-worth really matter that much? Like, what does it affect in your real life? Well, it actually affects everything. Everything that you struggle with or that you're doing well with, it all boils down to your level of self-worth. Your happiness. I talked about this earlier. If you have real, true happiness, it doesn't disappear shortly after you achieved a goal. You don't have to chase it. It comes from deep within. And when you have a really deep sense of self-worth, then you have that happiness as well. The happiness that lasts comes from within. You also experience an immense level of inner peace. You don't get triggered emotionally by what other people say or do because you're confident about who you are, what you stand for, and other people's opinions just really don't matter anymore. It also gives you the confidence. When you have a high level of self-worth, you feel deserving. If something comes to mind that you feel like you want, you're like, okay, there's a reason that is on my heart, that I feel like I want that. It's because I deserve it and I can get it. But you feel capable and you know that you're capable, even if you don't know exactly how yet. You know that ultimately you're capable and deep down you're worthy of and deserving of anything that you desire. Your sense of self-worth is going to affect the quality of your relationships. It's going to affect how you communicate with others, how you interact with others. You're not going to take things so personally when you have a high sense of self-worth. So you have less drama, less conflict. Relationships just go more smoothly. Now, sure, there may be people around you that are just what you might want to call toxic people. They don't maybe have that high sense of self-worth. They have challenges and difficulties. But it's not going to bother you so much when you have a high sense of self-worth. It's going to just kind of roll off your back. So maybe you still don't want to be around a certain person. It just means that you can tolerate it easier if they happen to be around. You're going to make better choices. You're going to choose to be around people that treat you better. You're going to choose to be around people that are more optimistic and happier and feel good about themselves. So yeah, self-worth does matter in your real life in lots and lots of ways. I could probably go on with more, but those are kind of the big ones. Oh, I almost forgot the really big one, money. When you have a great sense of self-worth, you're going to be better with money. You're going to make better decisions. You're going to feel more deserving of it. You'd be more likely to ask for a raise when you have a high sense of self-worth. If you have a business or if you have a business idea, you're going to be more likely to start a business and be successful in that business. The more worthy you feel, the more deserving you feel, the more bold that you are going to be in your job or your business or your career or any financial decisions, really. So yes, like I said, self-worth definitely affects real-world areas of real life. You might wonder, okay, so I do want to change my self-worth. I want it to be better. Even if it's good, it can always be better. Here's the thing though. Can I really change my sense of self-worth? You might be asking that. Yes. Yes, you can. So, you know how we say, go with your heart, not your head. Your emotions are actually not in your heart. They are in your head. They're in your brain. And your brain is filled with neurons, which are basically the brain cells. And as you learn new things, especially as a child, you have neural pathways that form in your brain based on your experiences. So when you learn something new, you get new neural pathways. So you're learning constantly. When you're a kid, so you have neural pathways being created like crazy. Well, if you have an experience that is kind of demeaning or limiting, this is where your limiting beliefs come from. The neural pathways are created to reinforce that belief. Like maybe your parents say, oh, we can't afford that. We don't have enough money. Not super traumatic, but it creates a neural pathway that gives you a limiting belief about money. And maybe that also creates a pathway that says, well, I'm not worth that amount of money because we have a limited budget, so we have to prioritize. And you're not thinking about it in words. It's just this neural pathway in your brain that is like on a subconscious level. So that continues to show up in your life until you consciously recognize it and then go in and intentionally and purposefully start to change it. And that's where the rituals come in, and there are different ways to do that. It used to be believed that they couldn't change in adulthood, that they were pretty set in adulthood. And it is more difficult to change them as an adult. It's a lot more malleable when you're a child because that's where you're getting the initial neural pathways created. So they change more easily up to a certain age. And actually, this field of study is still pretty new, so we're not really sure. It may actually be easier than we think if we do it the right way. The bottom line, though, is yes, you can change your level of self-worth because that's really tied to emotions, and your emotions are tied to the neural pathways in your brain, and those can be changed. You can rewire your brain, your subconscious. So I want to remind you to grab the Self-Love Secrets, the 5 essential morning rituals, because that's going to give you 5 specific exercises that you can do, and it's going to help you to cultivate your self-worth. It's going to help you to form new neural pathways that build your self-worth muscle, muscle. It's not really a muscle. I like that analogy because it really seems fitting. All right, so go to wildsavvy.com/happytools, and again, the link's going to be in the description. Okay, so other ways that you can encourage neuroplasticity in your brain, like the re-establishment of different neural pathways, is by doing challenging mind activities like brain puzzles, games, Sudoku, and crosswords. You can also learn something kind of complex, like juggling, a new language, or a musical instrument, or you can learn a complex subject in a short period of time, and that's going to help you establish new neural pathways. More simply, yoga and mindfulness meditations also have been shown to help encourage neuroplasticity, as well as mild to moderate exercise. So, move your body. And be sure to grab that free guide, the Self-Love Secrets, 5 Essential Morning Rituals, and you will be able to experience more happiness, deeper inner peace, and success in any area that you choose, because you're going to have the self-worth to really go after it. Just a few minutes a day,